I can have your attention here in the Media Center, we're going to go ahead and kick off our media availabilities here at EchoPark Speedway with no stranger to this Media Center. He's in here several times, generally post-race after a win. Austin Hill, driver, the number 21 Bennett Transportation Logistics Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. We're going to go ahead and open at the questions. We're going to start over here with Jacob.
Jacob Seelman, Raceface Digital. Is there any pressure at this point coming to a track where you've won 5 times in 7 tries? I know it's your home track, but I almost feel like at this point you come in here relaxed because you guys know what you need to do and you've seemed to just keep executing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's always a little bit of added pressure when you come back here, just because our sponsor, Bennett, being 15 minutes down the road is where their headquarters are, and every time I come here they're like, we got to win this race, and every year I'm like, I'm going to give it all I got and see if we can get it done. So and then you have all the fans, this being my hometown and everything, you have all the fans here and they're, oh, I bet on you, we expect you to win, this and that. So I think every time you come here you're expected to win and expected to run up front and have a shot at it. So I think there's always that little bit added pressure when you come to a place like Atlanta where we've had success at. But for myself and the entire 21 team, I feel as though we're super relaxed, like you're saying. And it's one of those things where you just go out there and just do your job and hope that it's enough. There's things that are going to be out of your control, and the best thing that we can do is go out there and do it like we've done every other race and control what we can control and minimize mistakes and have great pit stops like we always do, and just stay up front all day and stay out of all the mess and the mayhem that happens here. If we can do all those things, I think we have a really good shot at it. But yeah, I mean, anytime we come here, it's always special to come back here with the wins that we've had. I think it amps everything up a little bit more because, yes, we do want to go keep winning and keep this streak alive that we have going on. But it gets harder and harder every time because every time that you come here, no one really wants to work with you, and you have to almost make people work with you. So it's a fine line of kind of balancing all of those things.
How important is the timing of a race like this, given you guys won early and often, but not to say you've been in a slump, but I feel like a victory to try and build that momentum back is important for you guys right now.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have the momentum and everything still, but we've been close multiple times the last several weeks and came up short. So we're itching really bad to get back in victory lane. I mean, we want to win every race that we compete in, but it just hasn't went our way. Pocono last weekend, getting in a wreck and finishing where we did wasn't good as far as points and all goes. So we really need to have a solid showing today, hopefully end up in victory lane and kind of cut that points lead that the 7 has right now. And I don't want anything bad to happen to the 7 today, but if he has a few issues throughout the day and we can pounce on that, that's going to go a long way for the regular season championship.
Max Corcoran, Raceface Digital. So building off your own personal success, your teammate Jesse Love also is really good here, and the two of you work together really well, like almost like a shake and bake kind of dynamic. So what does that do for you here? Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have teammates that you can work with and you can count on and rely on. Jesse and I, we do a really good job of working together, but we also understand each other and we understand exactly how much we're going to work together. There's times in the race where it's like he has a run or I have a run and we have to take the run, and it might disconnect us for a little while, but we normally somehow find each other again later in the race. So I think him and I have a really good understanding as far as, look, I'm going to work with you as long as I can, but if a massive run comes and I have to take that run, then that's just what I have to do. I got to take the runs that I get. And I think that he feels the same way. He has the same understanding as I do when we come to these super speedway style races. Is we're better together and we're better working as teammates, but there are times in the race where you don't want to put both of you in a bad predicament, so maybe you have to leave that guy for a little while and then you come find him again later on. And I just think him and I doing that, it kind of works out for us and it keeps both of us up front.
Sky Sprinkle Race Face Digital. My first question is, it's the fourth year on this reconfiguration. We've seen the track aging, very quickly, very well. Do you feel like it's aged kind of about what you and your teams expect, from race to race here? Does it kind of age quicker than you thought, or are you able to kind of stay and connect with what the track will look like, when you leave and you come back 3 months later?
I think every time that we come back here to the track, it changes. And I don't know if I'd say it's changing quicker or not as far as how much it's aging. I will say, though, every time we come back here, we have a little bit different of a package every time we come here. I thought that we did a really good job back in February when we ran here early in the year as far as kind of guessing on what we thought the track was going to be grip-wise. And we thought that we built our car around a really good setup that had really good raw speed but also had the handling. We are kind of up in the air right now going into tonight with it being a night race on how much we need the raw speed and how much we just need overall handling. If it was a day race, I think that we would just go full-blown handling, and if we don't qualify the best, if we don't have the straight line speed and the raw speed like we normally have, we would feel confident about that. But going into it being starting in the day and kind of ending in the night like it's going to, there's a lot of unknowns for us right now. So I think every time you come here, it's a little bit of a guessing game, and I think a lot of it just depends on temperature. If it's going to be really, really hot outside, I think everyone in the field's going to go like full downforce and have the handling in their car. But then when it's kind of like that 60, 70 range, or if it goes into a night race like it is tonight, you're kind of 50-50 on the field on like what they're thinking that the car's going to need to be fast and to stay up front.
And then secondly, with the evolution, the track losing grip, have you had to change the way you build runs, work with teammates, throw blocks, all that kind of stuff? How much has the racecraft changed here from, back in 2022 to now?
Yeah, it's definitely changed on when to take runs, when not to take runs. There are times that, you'll build a massive run and you think that you can pull out a line and get back up in line, and that run kind of stalls out. I think it's gotten more dominant as far as running the second lane and kind of shading up to running a little bit of that third lane. We're not fully on the fence yet, but we're real, close to kind of getting up there to that third lane at times. When you see someone that can run the bottom really well here, then that means that they have a really good race car. And I thought that going back and watching last year's September race here, the one that we somehow won, we didn't have the greatest car. We had really good raw speed, and we just made it happen. The 7 car stood out to me as one of the guys that could run the bottom really well and make time doing it, and he could do it by himself. And so there was a lot of stuff that we had looked at going into this weekend on what do we need to be able to do what he was doing, but then also keep the raw speed in the car like we always have in our Bennett Chevrolet. So, I will say that the drafting and how you time runs and even working with teammates has changed a lot ever since that first race that we ran here with the reconfiguration. I think as the track has aged, it's actually made it tougher to work with teammates. It's like every man for himself. But it is nice when you have a teammate behind you because you can kind of rely on them a little bit more than you can, say, a Ford or a Toyota that's all they're trying to do is build the run and shuck you out. So there's a lot of games that get played on the racetrack, and it's been a lot of fun as it's, evolutionized.
Go all the way to the back.
Hey, Austin, Chris Gollin here with Motor Stardom. So we're in an era where specialization can be enough to get a driver into the playoffs, such as Shane Van Gisbergen in Cup, winning Mexico City. Do you think with your record on super speedways in Xfinity, not that you're a specialist necessarily, but you're pretty darn good on these types of tracks, do you view that as something that might be able to raise your stock as a potential Cup Series commodity?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the exact answer to that. I do think that if you are, like you're saying, being specialized in road course racing or the super speedway style racing, like with us on the Xfinity side and the Cup side, with us running multiple super speedway style races, you have your Daytona, your Talladega, and then here at Atlanta. I think it could open up your stocks a little bit as far as if someone's looking for a certain driver that they think that they can get it done on a super speedway. It's hard to win on these super speedways, but if they think that they're good enough to get it done on one of these races, and that's kind of their opportunity to win and make it in the playoffs. Yeah, I think it's something that teams could be looking at. I don't really look at it that way as a driver. I try to be as well-rounded as possible, but yeah, I mean, the stats don't lie as far as how well we've done on the super speedways, and that's something that, you know, a team owner could look at.
Thanks, Austin.
Go to John.
John Newby, Savage Ventures, over here on your right. So going back to what you said about, you know, how the track has aged, how it's become more of a handling, and then all of the unknowns that presents, for, I guess for a lack of a better phrase, does that increase the amount of work you guys have to do throughout the week to just figure out what you have to prep for, since what's in the notebook may not necessarily apply moving forward?
I think that going back and watching film, you can't just go back and watch the last race that we ran here. You need to watch the last 3 races that we ran here, because all 3 of them raced a little bit different than the next. And tonight could be one of those races where it raced very similar to the February race, or it might race very similar to last year's September race, or heck, it might even race, you know, similar to 3 races prior. So really, I think that you have to do a lot more of that studying, looking at in-car camera, going back and watching how cars are moving around, and how some guys had really good balance, some guys didn't, and they were out of control, but they had good just raw speed. So I think the prep work, as far as going back and watching film, is a lot more in depth than what it is for like a Daytona or Talladega. I don't really watch film back that much for a Daytona or Talladega. I feel like every time you go to one of those 2 super speedways, it always races a little bit different. So I don't really take nothing from rewatching Daytona and Talladega. But here, I think that you can take a lot from here. So that's a great question, and I think that that's something that I myself I've done this week, is I've went back and I've watched all 3 of the last races, and I'm kind of up in the air on which one I think it's going to race like tonight. But you have to be ready for like a lot of the unknowns, and it could be a total different race than we've ever even seen here. There could be a 4-car breakaway on the front 4, and we might leave the pack behind us. Like we just don't know what it's going to look like. So you have to be ready to kind of change it up on the fly, and I think that's something that our 21 team does really well.
Do we have any additional questions for Austin? Well, Austin, good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.